Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special session of interviews. Today, we have a special guest, Abel Osorio from Argentina, currently living in Vancouver, in Canada. So it will be great to talk with Abel about different topics about the IT industry, about the current trends on the work on the work models like remote versus on-site versus hybrid and so on. So, hello, Abel. How are you?
Hi, Rodrigo. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is going to be very
Okay.
interesting.
Excellent. Well, for those who don't know us, I'm Rodrigo Silva, the CEO of Lithium, an IT staffing company based in Latin America, especially in Uruguay. And we have Abel Osorio, that he is the CEO of WeDevelop and Nobel. If you want to introduce yourself, Abel.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm able, as you said, I worked 15 years in the IT industry as a developer. So I got to experience the remote work in first person as a developer myself. Then I transitioned to the CEO role in WeDevelop. This was in 2018. So I got the experience of building my own team, full remote in this case. WeDevelop is a staffing and recruiting agency from Latin America. We serve clients in the US and in Canada right now. And so also I built a new startup. It's called Nubel, which basically in a few words, it's a tool for any recruitment team. We use machine learning to predict which hires are going to be good and which hires are going to be not so good based on previous hires. So that's pretty
Excellent.
much a little bit about me.
It sounds very interesting. Well, let's focus
It
on
is.
the topic of our
Yeah.
conversation, which is, the current trends in the industry about remote versus on-site work. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about this recent trend of the market moving towards on-site or hybrid work models? What do you think is happening?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I got to experience, both worlds and in both sides. I was both working in the office, like 9 to 5. I got to work remotely with my on my own schedule, and at the same time, I got to work as an employee, as an employer. So I got to feel the different, uh, I don't know, perspectives, I guess. So, in my opinion, there is no. I mean, this is not very original, but I don't think there is one solution for all. One solution fits all. In this case, remote work became very popular after COVID, and people started to hate 9 to 5 in office jobs. Uh, in my opinion, they are not necessarily bad. There are good things on having a schedule, having a place to work, talking to people in person, and there are other benefits from working from home, working from whatever you want. So it's very interesting to see what's happening in the world right now. But again, I really believe that there is no solution fits all. I believe that every company should experience, or try the different models and see what's work best for them.
Yes, but maybe this year especially we are facing, as we are in the IT staffing industry, we are facing more and more, let's say, requirements like on-site, hybrid models, and so on. What do you think is happening, and why the companies are like turning to on-site models or requiring the people to be on the office? What do you think is
Yeah.
happening, and how these opposite forces are affecting the current industry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So, companies, for one hand, they need productivity. I mean, we as companies need to produce something so that way we can make money, right? That's why we exist in the first place. So we need productivity. So I think once after COVID, we realized that we had a new resource that we could use. Actually, companies like yours and we had been using remote work before COVID, but so many companies didn't. So I think a lot of people discovered this new resource, and they are trying to use it as much as possible. At the same time, there is a lot of scarcity on talent worldwide. So companies are having a really hard time finding talent out there. So, and if you are a software engineer or a graphic designer, or whatever role that you could do your job at your home, your work at your home, you don't want to go to the office. That's it, like the most popular opinion. People don't want to go to the office, or at least they don't want to be told to go to the office, right? They want to have the option. So what happened is that, for one hand, companies discovered this new resource of remote work that could potentially increase productivity. And on the other hand, in order for them to find talent, they had to become a little bit more flexible so that they could reach talent that now don't want to necessarily go to the office. So I think it's basically a matter of productivity and what works best for the companies. So fully remote is not for everyone, and can mean that productivity is not the same. Having people in your same table, talking in person, drinking coffee, spending a day working on an issue, that can be a lot more productive than having people remotely. So I think that that's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, I've been talking with some clients, and this is important, right? Because when you have the team on site, there are certain conversations that, if you are in a completely remote model, are conversations that are not going to happen naturally, right? Like the hallway conversations
Right.
where people talk about other projects or ideas and so on, and that makes them
Yeah.
learn things, absorb information, or knowing about other projects around the company. So, in a completely remote model, maybe they have the specific conversations they need to have. Let's say in when they are on
Yeah.
site, right? This is those informal conversations that, of course, add value
Yeah.
in their knowledge and
Yeah.
ideas and so on. Um, what do you think are the advantages or disadvantages of the different work models? And what do you think is best for every case? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. But to your point about the conversations, in person conversations have a different cycle than remote conversations. When you go on a call, you have 30 minutes to talk about one specific topic, right? And you talk about that, you end the conversation and you end the call.
Yes.
But if you and I had to happen to have a coffee, right? And we grab a coffee. Most likely I will ask you about your day. How is your week going? What did you do on the weekend? Things like that. Then we can talk about whatever topic we want to talk. And then after we finish the topic, we can go again to, hey, how's family? So the conversation cycle happens in a very different way in person and in remote calls. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Yes.
And sorry, what was your question again?
Yes. What do you consider are the benefits and disadvantage of the
benefits,
different work models,
right?
let's say on-site, remote, hybrid. What do you think are
Right.
the good and bad of
Okay,
everyone?
so first of all, yeah, I will start with on-site benefits. So the benefits of working on-site is that you have limits, right? If you work from home, you don't have a schedule. So if you are like a type A person, or an entrepreneur, or a very committed worker, you will work way more than 8 hours a day. 9 to 5 is heaven for us.
Yeah,
We usually work a lot more than that. So you have limits for time constraints. Then you also have space constraints. If you are working from home and you have family, what's the limit of being really focused on the work and being there with the family as well? You can't actually do both things, right? Perfectly. So the benefits of having a place to go to work is that you go there to work, you can fully focus on getting things done from 9 to 5 or wherever your schedule is. Then you're done. Then you go home. That's it. And of course, you have a lot of productivity if you work with your team in person, have a lot of conversations, water cooler conversations. There is a lot there to explore. On the other hand, talking about remote work, for companies, they can access a way larger talent pool. So now you can recruit people from different parts of the world, uh, get a lot of different mindsets. So you get a lot of new creativity. Start to think out of the box. If you think about it, you start to think differently. So you get a much richer um talent in your company. Of course, there is the economic part of the equation. You save a lot of money if you hire offshore, especially in North America. You can hire people from Mexico, Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia. I mean, people in your same time zone, and reduce the costs significantly, right? So that's one of the benefits. And for people, working from home, or not necessarily from home, but maybe they work from a WeWork office, right? A co-working space. Working from whatever you want to work from, that could be a very good situation for some people. So you give people a lot of flexibility. They can get creative. Maybe they work from a place where they feel, very empowered, very inspired. Um, so yeah, there is good things and bad things in both. I think I mainly talked about the good things though.
yeah, yes. No, of course, I think that nowadays the commute times, right, when you work from home, that you save time with that, that's a good thing. And the operational cost, as you said, when you are in a remote setting or hybrid, let's say, you can have, let's say, I have heard of companies that maybe they have reduced their office space because they don't need to have all the space available to have all the team at the
Yeah.
same time. So they reduce the space and they have turning the different teams in different days. Um, so this is
Hmm.
good, let's say. And of course, if you need to do something like with the whole team, you can do another special event or something different in other place, which is also interesting,
Yeah.
having those
Yeah.
opportunities. Yes, there are different scenarios. But going back to the topic, as you said, of course, the working remotely gives you the option to access talent from other geographies, right? And also in
Yeah.
my case, I can share a story about the client that we have that, of course, let's say the shortage of the talent in the local communities because somehow they need a special the talent that is there is it's not available on their
Hmm.
city, let's say, because nowadays with remote work, those talent is working on other companies, for bigger companies and so on, and they lack of this required talent. So the idea
Right.
of course, hire remote teams, it helps them with that because they can find talent people in other geographies, maybe people with the at other point of view, different skills or different attitudes or things that will add value to their this diversity. Diversity is very important on the teams
Yeah.
because allows them to have different opinions, different mindsets on their projects, and I think this is very good. It's another, also another important
Yeah.
benefit of remote teams, right? Also, it's interesting if you share a certain story that you told me before. When you shared a story about someone that you met that said something about why they prefer, let's say, on-site versus remote. That is also interesting to talk about the other side
Right.
of the story, right? Not only remote is good, but why
Yeah.
on-site and why they prefer that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So I met, very interesting people here in Vancouver, and they had. I met people that had very good experience with outsourcing, and people that had, not so good and maybe better experience with on-site. So it's a mix. So that's why I say every company is a different world, and you have to try them both. But one of the reasons some companies choose to hire locally is that, and this is true. As a software engineer, I can understand this. If you need to get something done like very quickly and in a very agile way, if you sit three people in a table with their laptops and they work for 8 hours on an issue, they can get something done within the day. You don't have to write user stories. You can even have a whiteboard in your behind your back and write something down. You can have discussions. You can stop in the middle of the coding and say, hey, I have a question, and you can get an answer within 10 seconds. So that's a lot of productivity. So that's why some companies choose to have uh, on-site teams, because there is a lot of productivity there. So it can be great in some cases. Of course, I met people on the other side. For example, I met a few weeks ago a product manager that their whole team is in Asia, right?
Mm.
So it's 12-hour difference with their development team. However, that setup, because of the way they organize work, is perfect for them. So they write some user stories, some requirements during the day. They send it to the team. They work at night, our night, and
Mm.
then when you wake up, you have things done. So it's perfect for them. So it depends on the company, but you can
Yes.
get like a lot of benefits from both worlds.
Yes, in another interview I have done recently, I have shared um, like nowadays is good. You have the option to choose the best format for your team. It depends on your
Yeah.
business, right? For example, in
Yeah.
my case, I lead a staffing company, so most of the
Right.
time people are going to be making interviews, evaluating opportunities, introducing candidates, and so on. And of course we will meet, let's say, to organize, to prioritize things and so on. But for us, for example, it works perfectly because even if we are together in an office, we are going to be bothering one each other because someone is going to make doing an interview and so on. So in this case, I think it's perfect the case to work
Right.
remotely. But of course, in a development team, I think that you will have different scenarios. Those times where you need to meet
Right.
together to make important decisions, maybe design decision and so on. Those are important moments where the team needs to be together, to discuss and so on. But once they are organized, let's say for a sprint or
Yeah.
whatever, and everyone has clear tasks, I think in this part of the job is very good to be at your home remote, very focused and so on.
Yeah.
And for this reason I
Yeah.
think that a mix
That,
is good. No.
yeah. That's an excellent point. So you touched a very good thing to differentiate. So there are things that you have to do alone, like
Mm,
calling a client. That's you and your client, right? And you don't need other people around you. Actually, if you're around other people, you can bother them. You know so and then you have other type of work where you need to be with the team. So you made an excellent point there. It depends on the type of work you do. So if you are like producing something as a team, it may be a good idea to be on the same table. Or for example, for hardware companies, right?
mm,
I met a few companies here in Vancouver that they build robots, right? So for them, it's great to be in the same office, do something, code some new feature on the robot, and then plug the robot in and see how it works, right? And
yeah.
other people see, and can give you feedback. So yeah, I mean, every setup, every company can benefit from a different um, you know yeah, model of work, I would say. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with that. When there are more physical aspects of the projects or the products, of course being together is more important. um, what do you consider, Abel, is the future of work? What do you think about what will be uh, the model that is going to win, or
Right.
where are we going to feel more comfortable in the future? Uh, what do you think?
Yeah. It's a big question. In my opinion, we rushed a little bit after COVID. Saying 9 to 5 office, that's bad. Let's go full
Mm,
remote. That's good. Well, let's take it back a little bit. Let's think a little bit. The good thing, and you said this before, is that we can now choose. We didn't have the choice before.
yes.
We had to have an office. We had to have a work schedule. We now have the choice. So that's perfect. And that's something we didn't have a few years ago. What's the future of work? I don't know, but I would dare to say that I see a trend of companies choosing to have distributed teams across different countries. Not too many though. Some companies choose to go, full Asia or full Latin America, so they can organize time zones, cultures. They can build that uh, distributed teams. But one common denominator across these companies is that all of them have hubs. Some have,
Yeah.
let's say, in their headquarters, and some have whatever their teams are. So I've seen companies building a really nice small office in Vancouver for their management teams, and then they may have 6 developers in Buenos Aires where they set up a WeWork co-working space. So people are working remotely. People are working from different countries, but they still can benefit from working together from time to time. And also, since companies have this opportunity to choose, they also are giving this opportunity to their employees. So not only us as employers can choose, what's our best model, but every person can do the same, right? So they are not telling people you have to go to the office from this time to time, from this time to this time. They are, giving the choice, and of course, coordinating as a team. Let's meet Wednesday, the whole day in the office to fix this issue or whatever. That's a trend I'm seeing, like, more frequently, and the setup that I find the most interesting and productive.
No, it's very interesting. This about
Yeah,
hubs, I think, is super powerful. And in my case, I think that we are going into a future where of independent professionals, where they gather for specific projects or to achieve certain goals.
yeah.
So for me, the I think that the concept of company is going to change in the future. Like, like companies is not communities of people working together for a specific time frame doing something, because nowadays, the flexibility on the work models, and people get more used to contract based models and so on.
Mhm.
uh, Having the people the opportunity to choose to work for a certain time in a certain project or with a certain company or community, I think
Mhm.
this for me is a trend, or how I imagine the future.
Yeah,
Like the
it's interesting.
companies reimagine. Maybe with a
Right,
core team, a company with a core team, as you said, but the other parts of the company are going to be temporary projects and teams that
yeah.
are moving together to do something, to achieve something specific.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. At We Develop, we are actually doing that with some companies. We are like their, let's say, uh, flexible arm, technology
Mhm.
arm. So they have a core team of people that they, have in their office, and then they have some distributed teams with us. And yeah, I can see how that's maybe a project scoped, or time scoped in some ways. Yeah, I can see how collaboration, how companies can tend to change how collaboration works
Yeah.
in the future. Yeah, for sure.
Actually,
Yeah.
this mindset is the current mindset I have with Lithium, for example. Even if we are
Okay.
a company and we hire, people to our team, I consider we are a community. For example, community of
Right.
professionals that, of course, that at some point they join our team for a specific assignment with a client. Maybe this assignment can last 6 months, 1 year, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Once that finish, of course the professional can be reassigned to another project, but maybe he has the choice to go to another company, go to another project,
Right.
work for other months, and later on, that is the best part of the story for us, is when they came back to us, say, hey, look, I'm available now for another project or challenge. Let me know if you have something for me. And this is for
Right.
me the best way, like the freedom. You can join the team
Yeah.
for a specific effort, and then you go to other things in your life, and then you go back. But the part
Yeah.
of going back for me is very important, because it means that you are like part of a family, right? So
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
this is for me how we conceive ourselves, like a community, in this mindset I have shared.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. At We Develop, our mission is to be the company everyone wants to work with,
Yeah,
and we wrote that because uh, you know we want to build teams of people that want to work with each other. That's very important. Yeah, at the
yeah,
end of the day, we spend more time with our colleagues than with our families most of the days. So you will want to work with someone that you want to work with, right? And you
Yeah,
want to have a good relationship with that person. And if that happens, that person, you know, will want to come back to the company if they ever leave. So yeah, I totally agree with that, and I love it. Yeah.
excellent. So, as final thoughts, what is your
Yeah.
advice on, I don't know, on companies that are now building their teams? I don't know,
Right.
maybe they are evaluating different models. I don't know. What is your advice on that?
I would say try everything. Don't rush to say office is bad, 9 to 5 is bad, remote is bad. I mean, everything can be good and can be bad depending on how you use it. Right now, you have the possibility of choosing among a lot of different resources, different models. There are companies that can help you do that. For example, staffing agencies like us, we know how to build distributed teams. So, and that's, all of these models had a lot of flexibility. So if you build a team that 6 months later, you don't feel quite comfortable with, you can, give a step back. The office is a little bit different because if you rent an office, you have to sign a long-term lease. It's going to be a little more, well, not a little, a lot more expensive, but there are some other flexible options as well as, co-working spaces. So I would say, for new companies or even for more mature companies, try everything and see what works for you and for your people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is your advice on the other side, let's say for professionals? I mean, willing to find their own
Right.
mood on the working on their
Yeah.
work life. What is your advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit the same, but for professionals, they all want to work from home. They all want to work remotely. I mean, take a moment and think in the long term, right? So maintaining a life from, working from home can be very challenging because you don't have any limits, and limits are good, right? You want to keep a very healthy family life, personal life, work life. You want to have some limits. Limits are good. So, my little piece of advice for professionals is, you know, don't rush to say, I want to be fully remote. Take a time to consider all the options, and then you can choose, right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
and also it's important the in which stage on their professional life they are. Of course, for those that are starting, it's important to have an on-site component initially on their
yeah,
career because they learn from each other.
yeah,
Is very important to
absolutely.
the basis for their career, right? But
Yeah,
once they have experience, of course, a good balance
yeah,
is nice. And
yeah.
as you
And also
said,
from
the
a,
working remotely implies not only about technical skills, or the soft skills are very important, the autonomy,
yeah,
how you handle your time, and so
yeah.
on. This is very important.
That's a good point. I mean, I've seen so many people that struggle to find to have interpersonal skills because they have not trained those skills in years because they've been working from their rooms.
Yes.
And we are human beings and we are social animals. We need the social part. I'm an introvert person. The social part is not easy for me. I have to force myself to go out and talk to real human beings, but that's something that we need from, a social standpoint, energy standpoint, health standpoint. We need that. So, and as you said, you touched another point, Rodi, which is cost. If you are a professional starting your career, you have to invest a lot in equipment. a good
Yeah.
computer, a good camera, a good chair, internet connection, some amenities to get you comfortable. I mean, it's a big investment. So,
Yes.
and if the company can pay that, if you can go to an office with all those amenities, I mean, you can take advantage for that.
Yes, for sure. And no, and
Yeah,
also regarding another point you have touched, when you work remote, it's important to force yourself to do, networking activities, participate in
yeah,
communities, in your local communities,
yeah,
in order to, stay in touch with real human interactions and so on. That will help a lot on those interpersonal skills that you have said.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Abel, it was a pleasure to share this space with you to discuss our current work models and, from our
Yeah,
experience to share our insights. So thank you very much to
yeah. Thank
join
you.
the call.
Yeah, thank you, Rodrigo. This was very interesting. Yeah, I
Okay,
hope people
excellent.
find it useful.
Thank you very much and see you soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.